I'm Ann Bianchi, and I was a professor of biology and then subsequently assistant dean of academic affairs.
What was your first connection to the college? I mean, how did you come here for a job interview?
No, I was working at United Technologies in biomedical research up at Hamilton Standard, and I taught a course at night here because a colleague did and said I should do that. And it was fun, and I came, and I never knew what a community college was, and it was fun. And so a couple years later, they decided to shut the facility down when the government found out that we were a profit-making organization and we were having NIH grants and NASA grants and things. And I called Bob Fenn, dear old Bob Fenn, and said, I'm open for a full-time job that you've been offering me, and I'll take it. And that was when we were over at Hartford Road.
So what year would that have been?
Oh, gosh, it was in like 66, 67, somewhere in there. Memory is failing.
So who were some of the people that you remember from back in the early years?
Back in the early years, there were only two people, as far as I know. Bob Fenn and Jim Tatro. And then Fred Lowe, of course, dear Fred. And I was in a trailer with Bob Dobson and Connie Quinlan that was hit by a car and fell off its pedestal while we're in there having office hours. I mean, it was just a hoot. The whole thing was a hoot, but it was really nice. And that's when I realized that these kids in the community college were something special.
So what made it really nice?
The students. The students made it nice. I taught my biology labs over at the high school, which was not pleasant, but the students were different. And we evolved from there, and I just loved the contact, the constant contact with the students. You know, we were like family.
Was it an older student body, non-traditional age?
No, not then. Not then. That came later. That came much later after we were over here on this campus and started to get a little older and a little older, which put me into wanting to provide for the returning older student, especially the woman, who had had no opportunities at all for education. And that's when I started the Women in Transition program, which was one of the highlights of my career here.
Well, let's talk about that. What activities, what services did Women in Transition provide back in the day?
Well, we taught the woman how to do very basic things in school. Don't forget, these people hadn't been to school since high school. Just simply taking notes in a classroom, test taking. We put in a little human touch. I had people coming in from social sciences, human resources, and so forth to talk to these women about what life was really like in the college and how they could succeed. Now, at that time, the attrition rate for students here was pretty high. I think it was like 65-70% made it, and that was it. So I set a goal with this program to improve on that. And in the first 3 years of the program, the attrition rate was 95% stayed. Right. And then I knew it was huge. And I think we did a lot of good things for these women. And in the process of that, my other great excitement here at the college was I developed the human sexuality course, because these women were all in their 50s, 55 maybe, and some of them had really no understanding of what their sexuality really was. They had been married from when they first got out of high school, same man, sex with one person all their life, had no idea about a lot of things. And I thought, well, this will be nice. And I did a couple of seminars with the women, and it went over so well, I was able to develop an entire course, which became one of the more popular courses here on campus at that time.
Now, when you first came here, was Fred Lowe the president?
Fred Lowe was the president.
Rumor has it that he held some interesting Friday afternoon meetings.
Say that again?
Rumor has it that he held some interesting Friday late afternoon meetings.
What does that mean?
Well, faculty meetings where there was a lot of smoke in the air and a lot of discourse.
He did. I don't know whether I can actually remember factually some of the things that distressed me, but I do know that at times there was encouragement to favor certain students over others and this type of thing. And I always rebelled and didn't do it. But I'm not sure what particular part of those Friday afternoon meetings you're driving at, so I'm not going there.
We can pursue another area.
Okay.
Who are some of the people who made a big impression on you in your early years here, who helped you, mentored you, or you just enjoyed working with?
Bob Finn probably was my biggest mentor, and probably because we were in the same discipline. He was a scientist as well, and he was doing the teaching in the courses that I subsequently came in to teach. As he went into administration, I took those courses over. So he and Fred Lowe also, I spent a lot of time learning from Fred. He wasn't, just a figurehead here. He was very involved with the faculty, very involved with the students. I always felt comfortable, and yet I had never had any training for education, no experience with it. I was a researcher.
At what point did you make the change from faculty member to administrator?
When I started that Women in Transition program, I realized that directing something that became huge, I enjoyed it. And I participated in a women's leadership conference in Pensacola, Florida, where one person from a community college in each state went. There were 50 of us. And they were headed up by a woman named Carolyn Desjardins, who was out of Maricopa Community Colleges in Arizona. And her goal in life was to teach women how to get self-confidence and take leadership roles. Because during that time, Bob, I don't know, you probably aren't even sensitive to the fact that women were second-class citizens in education and higher education, and to get a promotion was a very difficult thing. If there was a male who was married and had a family, then there was no competition. You just never got it. So this woman was out to change that, and she assured those of us, and we were mostly all teachers that went, that we would want to be more than just teachers. And when I came back, apparently it was a very obvious change in me, and it turned everything around for me. And then I started making bigger goals in the administrative line rather than teaching.
Okay. Can you say whether you got greater satisfaction out of teaching or administrating?
Teaching. There's no question. Teaching, but I was tired after 20-some years in the classroom of the bureaucracy and what seemed to be ill-thought-out directives, and the only way to take care of that was to become one, join the enemy, become one, and at the same time, I could be a perfect faculty advocate, and that's why I went after that deanship, for that very reason.
So did you find that rewarding?
Yes.
So you were in the classroom for 27 years. How did you see the student body, the student population change?
Well, other than age, the demographics were very different. We started bringing people in from Vietnam after the war, and we had all kinds of different groups of students here. And education changed. We needed ESL, English as a second language, more just to be able to teach biology to a student. They didn't understand the language. And so as far as I'm concerned, it was more difficult to teach. It took longer to try to demonstrate the principles and things that you wanted to. There wasn't really a learning process going on at that point. It changed that way for the negative, and then also it changed for the better because we got a lot of students who financially couldn't afford to go to the university but had very, very good intellectual skills. And so they were here, and so that's when the allied health programs became very important. We got better students, and they were more inclined to go into these areas, and so that was another part of my career that I enjoyed. I mean, it wasn't fun like the sexuality or the women in transition, but it was very rewarding to set up surgical technology, respiratory therapy, med lab tech, and so it was fun.
When you retired, the college was basically what we call the East Campus. How does it feel to come into this facility?
I felt like a total stranger and that I had never been a part of the institution. I got a tour. It was very lovely, very nice facility. But I don't feel like I was a part of this.
You worked in a low building. A bit.
I went to the dining room there for some dinners and used the library. But, yeah, I was in the low building, but right now that looks like it's something that might want to be leveled like the lower campus was. I don't know.
Marianne, were you involved with the transition from women in transition to adults in? Is that your project?
It wasn't. I think my program was sabotaged by one of the male faculty members who wanted a men in transition program. He felt that they were being deprived of equal opportunity. They should have been a woman all their life, and they would have known what that was about. But that kind of diluted my program's importance on campus. And then after I left the program to go into the assistant dean's job, someone else took over the women in transition, and that was when it made the then they went into adults to encompass both groups.
Yeah. You did make women's in transition a club. I mean, it had a sense of unity, spirit. How did you do that? Do you recall? I do. I'm just asking.
You do? Well, you're younger than I am, maybe. T-shirts. I don't know. We did everything. You're right. There was, in the first group of women, there was an artist, and she designed and produced T-shirts that had a logo that then became a great tool to go out and get funding for the program, which I did externally as well. The college wasn't terribly supportive at the beginning. And then slowly, they gave me a facility, but I believe they gave me a closet or an old office or something to start and have 20 women sitting in chairs to go discuss things. And then I remember bringing in paintings from my wall and all kinds of things from my home to make it comfortable and more like something women could relate to and relax.
Are you in contact with any of those women since the program?
No, I left the area and changed professions, and so now I work as a professional poker player in Las Vegas. I'm pleased to say. And once in a while, just the other night at Mohegan Sun, I was sitting in a tournament, and this fellow came and sat down, reached across, shook hands, and said, "Why, Professor Bianchi, how are you?" And I felt good. I felt good because I beat him.
If you were talking to someone who just got hired to start working at the college, what would you tell them? What advice would you impart?
Don't get caught up in all the political mumbo-jumbo here. Stick with the student. Make the student your priority. Absolutely, because students get lost in that. At one point, we had a nameless president that was not as student-oriented as I would have liked him to be. And I don't know about the new president now, but I hear that she's back to counting the students as being something special. But yeah, the community college is just such a great, great institution, and nationwide, not just here. But the thought of them eliminating it because of the economic crisis gives me pain, because I think we really need to continue it. In Nevada, they're considering closing them down and just having state schools, state colleges, and then the university. And what a disaster that would be. But there is talk of it.
Anything else you'd like to add?
It's just wonderful to be back here. Never in my life, in my 39 years, have I ever sat in front of a camera and had an interview. So it's a first for me, and most likely a last. But you never know. You may see me on TV in the World Series of Poker.
Don't go, Mary Ann. Ellen, you want to comment on...
Andy. Hi, Andy.
Yes, of course.
Wow.
Mary Ann,
Hi,
I
Ellen.
was telling Chuck how when you were teaching human sexuality, when you starting out, Jan Christensen used to type your exams, and she would get red as she was typing the questions. Watch her getting redder and redder and redder and redder.
And there's the infamous story about the cross wires on your sexuality course video ending up in somebody else's class. Are you aware of that?
That was Sebastian
Was he
Woodbury.
Anderson?
Oh, my goodness.
You must have
No.
heard about that, yes.
I don't remember. I don't remember that, but I know I had those videos, and again, the school wouldn't buy them for me, but I used to just send for preview, and my dear friend John would make a copy for me, and then I would use them in the class.
And Aileen Bouchard was watching them all.
I'll bet she was. I bet she was. And I didn't forget MedLab Tech. I did that deliberately to be funny because I saw you sitting over there, Ellen. Yeah.
Well, they closed it when I retired, Mary Ann, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It just shows you how important we are.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they couldn't wait to close it.
Right.
Anything else?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. We're done.
I wish we could be back at Hartford Road.
Wow.
That's what I think. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.